Horrible Harry and the Ant Invasion by Susie Klein. Pictures by Frank Rakamatsu. Chapter 1. Horrible Harry and the Ant Invasion. When Harry and I walked into room 2B, we couldn't believe our eyes. "Look at that," I said. "Wow, what is it, dog?" Harry asked me. "It's an ant city." "Ants," Harry grinned. Then he rubbed his hands together. Harry loves anything that crawls, slithers, or slides. He loves slimy things, hairy things, and creepy things. Harry loves anything horrible. "The ants haven't arrived yet," Miss Mackle said, "but they should come any day now in the mail." "The mail?" Sydney made a face. "EU! There's going to be ants in Miss Mackle's mailbox." Harry flashed his white teeth. "Neato," he said. "Are we going to have an ant monitor?" Miss Mackle looked at the list of jobs on the monitor chart. "We're going to need one. Would you be interested in Harry?" He smiled so wide his silver fillings showed in the back. Miss Mackle printed Harry's name next to Ant Monitor. 1 week later, when the class was lined up in the hall by the office, Miss Mackle checked her mailbox. She found a small manila envelope in it. When she opened it up, she pulled out a plastic vial. There were lots of black, hairy things moving around in it. "The ants!" the class shouted. The school secretary, Mrs. Foxworth, poked her head around the corner. "Ants?" she replied. "We're going to observe their behavior," Miss Mackle said. Mrs. Foxworth tried to smile, but she was shaking so much that the pencil that was sitting on her ear dropped to the floor. Harry picked it up and handed it to her. "Are you afraid of ants?" Mrs. Foxworth went back to her typewriter. Harry grinned. "She's afraid of ants." "Well," Miss Mackle said, "the directions in the small package say to put the vial in a refrigerator for 10 minutes, so the ants will go to sleep. It's easier to put sleeping ants in the ant city." Harry stepped forward. "I'm the ant monitor. I'll take it to the teacher's refrigerator for you." Miss Mackle raised her eyebrows. "Can I be an assistant?" Harry asked. Miss Mackle nodded as she looked at the waving hands. "I pick Dawn." I beamed. Miss Mackle looked relieved. We walked down the hall to the teacher's room with the vial of ants. Then we opened the refrigerator and we looked for a place to set the vial. "Gee," I said, "there's so much diet soda in here, it's hard to find room." Harry finally set the vial on top of the container of banana yogurt. When we walked back down the hall, Mrs. Foxworth was coming toward us. "Hello, boys," she said in a cheery voice. "Taking your morning break?" Harry asked. Mrs. Foxworth nodded. "Thought I would have a little banana yogurt." Harry and I stopped, looked at each other. Mrs. Foxworth closed the teacher's room door. Then we heard it, a shrill scream. Harry and I walked back to room 2B, laughing. 10 minutes later, Miss Mackle brought the vial of ants back to the classroom. Everyone gathered around the science table. "I think I should do this, boys and girls," Miss Mackle said. "Some ants bite. I don't want any of you to touch one. Is that clear?" Everyone nodded their heads. Miss Mackle took the roof of an ant house. She took the cap off the vial. We watched her pour the ants into the small opening. "Their bodies look like raisins," Ida said. "That's why the way they sleep, Ida, all rolled up," Miss Mackle replied. "Ew," Sydney groaned. "They're gross." The teacher looked at Sydney. "We are scientists. We are exploring ant behavior. Someday, someone in room 2B may be a great scientist and make great discoveries in the lab." Her and I pointed at each other. "We're planning to be great scientists someday." Just as Miss Mackle finished pouring the sleeping ants into the hole, the ants at the bottom of the vial started to wake up. "Goodness!" Miss Mackle exclaimed. Sydney screamed, and the 3 ants crawled out of the vial to the science table. Miss Mackle stood up. "Don't move or touch anything. I'll get the ants." One is on the floor, Mary called. Miss Mackle crawled after it. She put a pencil in front of the runaway ant, crawled up the pencil. Miss Mackle popped the ant into the opening of the ant house, and then put the roof back on. 2 ants are missing, she said. Hair was in her eyes, and none of her high heels were off. They're going to get us, Sydney shouted. Sydney, Miss Mackle said with her teeth clenched, we must remain calm. Harry stood in front of the teacher. As your ant monitor, I'll find the missing ant. Then he gave her a salute. Just don't touch the ant, Miss Mackle insisted. Harry took out his lunchbox. He unwrapped his sandwich and scraped some peanut butter onto his finger. Then he put his finger under the science table and waited. Miss Mackle put her shoe back on, pushed her hair out of her face. I think everyone should return to their desk now. I found them, Harry shouted from under the table. Everyone bent down and looked, including Miss Mackle. There were 2 runaway ants on Harry's finger. Miss Mackle grabbed her pencil and quickly scraped them off and then dropped them into the opening of the ant city. Harry flashed a big smile. I told you not. I'll find them. Miss Mackle frowned. I told you not to touch the ants. Look at your finger. Everyone did. There were 2 red marks. He got bit, Mary exclaimed. Think you should go to the nurse, Miss Mackle said. When you come back, you'll see another name on the monitor chart next to Ant Monitor. Harry put his head down as he walked to the nurse's office. Next day, Harry was really quiet. He didn't want to join a conversation about ants at the science table. They buried their own dead, I said. They buried their own food, Mary said. Ew, Sydney replied. Look, those ants are kissing. Miss Mackle walked over to her table. Ants pass food by kissing. Sometimes they send messages that way. Sydney fell off his chair and rolled over the floor, laughing. You may return to your seat. Sydney, idiot, is about to feed the ants, and I want only serious scientists to watch. Sydney frowned as he walked back to his chair. Harry frowned as he watched Ada doing his job. Ada filled an eyedropper from a bowl of sugar water. Then, with the teacher removed the roof, Ada squeezed the eyedropper 3 times into the ant house. I'll get it back, Harry whispered to me. Get what back? My ant monitor job. I looked at Harry, could tell he was making plans. How? All I have to do is get on the teacher's good side, then I can ask her for another chance. So Harry tipped across his chair, and his baseball cards came tumbling out of his pocket. Miss Mackle put her hands on her hips. Hey, put those things away. Baseball is a distraction in the classroom. He got down on his knees and picked up the baseball cards. Don't let any more antics for you today. Miss Mackle said. Antics? He repeated. That's an ant word. Miss Mackle smiled. Yes, it is. We have lots of ant words in our language. Maybe we should think of some. Harry clapped his hands. I thought. Harry might just pull it off. I'll start, Miss Mackle said. Antifreeze. I had to put some in my car this morning. Antarctica and Atlantic, Mary said, looking at the globe. Good. Any others? The teacher asked. Antipasto, Mr. Carney, the principal, said as he showed up at the door. Everyone laughed. My mother makes the best antipasto in the world. Salami, cheese, black olives, and just stopped in to visit the ants, he said, sitting down at the science table. Miss Mackle continued the lesson. Elephant and panther, I said. Thinking of the animals in the zoo. Harry held up Jack and the Beanstalk. Try it. Miss Mackle wrote the new words on the boards. Fancy, Ada said. Nice try, but doesn't have a T in it, Miss Mackle said. Ranch? Sydney asked. That is a CH word. Our class seemed to be stuck. The Miss Conley saw 2 ants kissing, and he stood up. I got one. Romantic. Everyone groaned as he waddled out of the room. Got the best ant word, Harry said. They pointed to the December calendar. Santa! Everyone cheered and clapped. Then Harry stood up like he hadn't the biggest idea in the world. Why don't we draw pictures of ants carrying these words? They can go up the stairway and invade the 2nd floor. Visions, I thought. Harry loved them. Miss Mackle looked at the long list of ant words on the board. Let's do it, she said. Everyone took out the crayons and then scissors, and the teacher passed out brown paper. I'm making the black ant to carry my word panther, I said. I'm making a huge ant to carry my word giant. I'm making a big red heart next to my ant, Mary replied. Everyone knew what the ant word Mary was doing. Romantic. When all the ants were drawn and cut, the words were neatly printed above and class lined up the whole. Miss Mackle walked us to the stairwell. Let's hope we have enough to make it to the top. We will, Harry called out. Danny whispered to me. We have to. She'll be in such a good mood. She'll give me another chance to do an ant. He started tapping the ants at the bottom of the wall near the stairs and made a trail going up and down around the stairway. When we go back to the top, we'll one more shot. Everyone sat down on the stairs. I knew we could do it, Sydney complained. Well, Miss Mackle replied, maybe tomorrow. Harry made a face, then he reached in his back pocket and pulled out 3 baseball cards. The Yankees. They want a permanent this year. An ant word! Everyone shouted. Miss Mackle clapped her hands. Bravo, Harry! You made the word today. Put it up. We reached the second floor, thanks to, and she looked at Harry's baseball cards. Some distractions. Harry beamed at his teacher. I promise to follow your directions in science. Will you give me another chance to be an monitor? Snackle put her hand on Harry's shoulder and smiled. All right, Harry. I don't see you. Why you can't? Harry was horribly happy.